Inshallah and Ashe. Blessings to you, my energetic beings. And as always, welcome back to Musing with Tonya D podcast. I am your host. My name is Tonya D. I'm a practicing holistic shaman, medium, an otherworldly life coach, and a subtle energetic surgeon, a reflector by human design. And yes, I've known I'm a reflector for quite some time, since before I actually started my podcast. Either way, my intention truly is to utilize the power of indigenous technologies, wisdom, ancient wisdom of our bones, down to our original divine blueprint, to really navigate through our soul's harmonic, the realm of the elementals, the elemental highway, into and through the imaginal realm, the shaman's portal. And welcome to the season of that, by the way, Scorpio. Really reintroducing you to the magical being that I truly believe heartfelt resides within each and every one of us. This energy blueprint is unique and individual, and I would call it our divine blueprint, really, to really raise our frequency to our prime directive, your inner genius. I do call myself a holistic shaman medium, which is just a choreography of each and everything, and welcome to my podcast, Medicine Room. And I do go live on YouTube at Tonya D for a daily, weekly snippet, if that makes sense. I used to go live daily, but now I'm on the weekly. I generally talk about the element of the week. I believe that's our foundation. I do a moon or two meditations about the moon as a reflector and ritual. I've now added a ritual to my medicine room episode for meditation. I share the element of the day that generally comes from the 4 pillars, but also the Dagara cosmology and technology. I believe the elemental realm is part of our foundation. That's why I created the rising of the origins, and that's a gateway into the realm of our own personal elemental highway. Now, a lot of curious minds are wondering why that's so very important. Just even a small understanding of your elemental foundation, that's when you can really utilize the elementals for healing, manifesting, and so much more. And when your elemental foundation is balanced and in alignment with your gift and just living your purpose, your prime directive, that's where everything starts choreographing a new energetic frequency for us and through us. And it really activates the spirit that resides within each and every one of us. We got to bring spirit into the body to be embodied. Our spirit needs to be physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and so much more merged with our body, climbing into our skin. But I also share insights with the subtle energies, the bodies, the fields, insights, and a lot more. Being a seer to the unseen as a reflector, and also in the Dagara cosmology. But I do hope that your heart is shining bright and everlasting and really inspired and just loving the season of the witches. And as we are coming to the final chapter, the closing chapter of the season of the witches, I am super excited to bring this audio room artist to the stage, to the forefront, Julia Stapleton. Julia is a business and manifestation coach who has made it her mission to assist other online entrepreneurs create a life along with a business that they desire by utilizing frequency activations. After experiencing an awakening in 2023, she's received a gift from the divine, the Great Spirit, frequency DNA activations. Along with observing mind-blowing results for her clients, she has started incorporating this into the coaching work to really help clients manifest their desires. She uses the inside-out approach by teaching clients how to use their mind to tune into their desires and manifest them into this physical reality, and going directly into their core of being, their beingness, to really activate the dormant DNA and help tune their body to be in the vibrational match to the life they really want and desire to create. As a quote from Julia, this is a new way of living, peaceful, tranquil, and more importantly, fun. And it can be that for everyone once you learn all of the components of creation from your mind. And the best thing is, you don't need to dig through all your past traumas and ancestral beliefs to be able to clear those energies that are blocking your success and magnetize your desire into 3D physical reality. So with that, Let's welcome Julia to my audio medicine room. How are you doing today, Julia?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm fantastic. So let's dive in. Can you tell my audience a little bit about yourself? A little background?
Yeah, sure. Well, I am a mum of one little very busy boy and a wife, and I'm on a farm in rural Australia. I've been in Australia for about 23 years now, and I'm originally from Estonia, which is a little country in Europe, in the Baltic states. So I've been here longer than I've been over there, so I really consider myself a local. But you can probably hear an Aussie accent, but Aussies will say that I've got some weird accent, so it's a bit of a mixture. And I have two businesses. I have a local brick and mortar telecommunications business, which is all about tech, all about, internet and mobile phones and all that sort of stuff. And a year ago, I started an online coaching business after I came back from maternity leave and decided that I wasn't busy enough, so I should have a full-time job plus another business plus a toddler at home. And as things were, they rearranged themselves to really avoid burnout, which I was nearing. And the company that I was working at the time with a full-time job, which was the telecommunications business, the owner decided to retire and close the company. And then after I got the news and I was trying to work out what to do with my life, he messaged me again and asked me if I actually wanted to take over the company. So no one thought that I would do it. And everyone got the surprise when I straight away said yes, because that was a perfect opportunity for me to still do what I enjoyed in telecommunications, but also have my own time schedule and do whatever I wanted without spending all my nights and weekends working on the second business. That's how I found myself doing an online business, which was coaching business and marketing type stuff for other online entrepreneurs. And a few months ago, I've decided to really dive a little bit deeper into spirituality. I've been into it for a few years and I've been doing different things, but a few months ago, I started working with a mentor, and that's really opened my eyes to a whole lot of new things and a new way of looking things, and really letting myself really use it more in my life rather than kind of just learning about it, reading about it, actually, embracing it. And I've experienced a bit of spiritual awakening in which I kind of like unplugged from the physical 3D world and received what I call a gift of frequency DNA activations. So, for those people who don't know what a DNA activation is, it's basically the dormant part of your DNA, because we don't use all of our DNA. There's a lot of dormant parts of the DNA that aren't being used. And through energy work, through the frequencies, I help activate different parts of it to help your body tune into the frequency of what it is that you want to manifest in life. And it really like an inside out approach. So rather than just using your mind to create whatever you want in life, which is also a great thing already, but we go both ways. We do the inside out as well as from the outside, so that we really amplify and speed up the process and making it a little bit easier as well, because sometimes our mind gets in the way when we try to create things. So by doing it like through the DNA and letting your body kind of take over a little bit there, it really bypasses the mind a little bit, just to give you a bit of a boost to get going, especially if you have a logical mind like me and question everything. It's like, how does it work? And like, what's real, what's not real, how can it be explained? Which in a way is kind of funny how I ended up using frequencies in my work, combine them with energetics, because in my telecommunications business, where I've worked for over 20 years, that's what I've been working with on a daily basis, is different frequencies by transmitting information through the internet. That's all frequencies. Your radio stations transmit signal with the songs and the voice over the frequencies. TV's got a picture with sound and everything, also over the frequencies. So when I had that epiphany and realized that that can be translated to the energetic world and really explain to people how it works, because when you think about it, it's really quite simple. So for a piece of information to be transmitted from point A to point B, all you need is point A to send the information, point B to receive the information, and a medium for that information to travel. So like with the radio station, you've got the radio station sending the signal, you've got the frequency waves that carry that information, and then you've got a receiver like the radio in your car to receive it and play a song. And that's all you need. So all you need is those three things. And then I started wondering, well, how can we actually use those principles and unexplored parts of what frequencies can do in life? Because there's just so many, like the opportunities are endless. You can extinguish fire with a specific frequency. You can heal with frequency. You can kill off cancer cells with frequency. Like there's just so many different things. And my brain then just started wondering, well, if all we need is point A, point B, and frequencies to carry the information, why couldn't I do it energetically from a person to person and transmit information with instructions to their DNA to help them like activate something within them to help them get whatever they want in life? At that point is when my, you can say divine or consciousness or whatever, basically started feeding me that information one by one over several days. I've received different pieces, and then when it finished, I put it all together, and that's how I do my frequency activations. When I tune into something that someone wants to create, that information flows through me like a channel, and I paint it on a paper with different colors, because colors are also frequency, and then I draw the frequencies as I see them in my mind, and I literally just send it to the person. So that's my point A, point B, and the medium for it to travel. That's kind of how it happens. And then it's just a matter of person getting out of their own way and letting it happen for them.
So when you work with your clients, do you start with the frequency of their heart's desire? Like I think sometimes we've got so much packed on us. Sometimes I'm not sure people actually truly recognize authentically what their heart really desires. You know, they might pick up on the desire of the other, a partner, but not their own desire. So do you start kind of honing in on their own heart's desires, their frequency in the beginning to create their manifestation kind of journey?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, because the society programming kind of tells us what we should want, and that's not necessarily what we want. We, instead of having $1 million mansion somewhere in LA, we might want just a cabin in the woods or something like that. So that's a very good point, and it depends on what the client actually wants from me. So if someone wants just like a one-off session, which I don't like doing, as in, like, I enjoy doing everything, but I know it's not a full picture. So we only get a very small part of what we can create together. So if someone comes to me for just a one-off thing, we focus on something very, very specific. For example, beliefs around money or blocks around money, something like that. And we do start with what they actually desire, but then I dig a little bit deeper on the call just to find out exactly where it's coming from. Like, where is the desire coming from? Why haven't they achieved it yet? To kind of unlock a few underlying things for the client. And we just work on that one specific thing by clearing any energies around that subject, any emotions, any triggers, any beliefs that are coming up around it, so that the person is in that neutral space. And then when someone is in that neutral space, then I ask them again what it is that they actually want. And when they tell me, then that's basically what I work on. But when I do my frequency work, I don't just say, okay, you want $10,000, here's your $10,000. I actually think back to our conversation and think back to all their feelings and things around the subject that was blocking them from it. And I try to help them overcome that as well in my work. So not only say 10K, here you go, I'm manifesting it for you. I'm also manifesting for them the fact that they release all those traumas. They release all that resistance and hesitation. They become lighter, more magnetic to whatever they want in life. So it's kind of like multi-layered, but obviously a very specific desire that they have. And at the end of the day, it's not up to me to judge why they want something. It's up to them to understand what they want. And that's where more long-term work comes in, because we actually work on why someone has a desire and determining and identifying where it's someone's ego basically running the ship, or if it's something that someone just wants to experience for the enjoyment of it. Because most of the things we want in life is coming from ego, because it's something personal. It's something that affects us, therefore it's personal, therefore it's coming from ego. But if we release control and really just let things happen without judgment of something is good or something is bad, we like it or we don't like it, because our personal preference comes from ego. And if we actually just release that control, the judgment, the personal identification with something, like the likes and dislikes, and really become neutral about everything, so that it isn't good, it isn't bad, it just is. It isn't something I like, it isn't something I dislike, it just is, then we become neutral and at peace with whatever happens. So whether we get our desire, it's great, we're neutral. If we don't get our desire, we also don't get disappointed or upset or stressed or whatever. It's also neutral. So it's the matter of letting your emotions, beliefs, thoughts, and things like that flow through your body, rather than basically being trapped in the body and just staying there. Because whatever emotion it is, it then grows, it compounds with other emotions, it creates toxicity in the body, it generates beliefs, traumas, and basically it affects everything in life. But if we bring body and the mind into a neutral state and let everything flow through, then whatever happens, then it doesn't matter. So where the desires come in is the distinction between being happy with something or just being at peace with something and really wanting something, which is a desire. The only reason we have a desire is because we don't have that thing that we desire. So if we desire a piece of chocolate, we don't have it right now, so we're focused on the fact that we don't have it. When we do already have chocolate and we're eating it, we no longer desire it because it's ours. So when you think about desires, the only reason why people struggle sometimes in achieving their goals, desires, and things like that, obtaining their desires, is the fact that they are still in the mindset of that desire being a desire, which means they don't have it, which means they're in lack. If they were just at peace of just feeling into the experience of already having it, as if they already had it, kind of like living an alternate reality. So when they feel like they already have it, they actually no longer desire it because their body thinks it has it. And when there is no longer a desire, that means there's no longer lack, which means the physical world in 3D has to follow what your mind experiences, and it will rearrange itself to give you that experience because your mind is already experiencing it. And to the mind, it doesn't matter. Imagined, if people don't believe me that it doesn't matter to a mind, whether it's imagined or actually happening in physical reality. One, there have been studies where a brain has been sending electronic signals for certain things, and brain would react as if the body was physically experiencing it. And second thing is, most people have dreams, and for most of us, dreams feel extremely real, like we're there, we're experiencing it. But our body isn't experiencing it. So why do we think that it's real while we're in the dream? Well, a dream is an imagination of the mind while we sleep. So that's why to a mind, it doesn't matter. Whether it's experiencing something in imagination, whether it's experiencing something in a dream, whether it's experiencing something in a 3D physical reality, it's wherever the mind is focusing, whatever like the consciousness is focusing, that's what's real to it at that time. By focusing mind on something that you want to focus your mind on, that's the reality it experiences, and that's the reality that's then created in general.
So for me, it just listening to you, it feels like if I could close my eyes and go into a virtual reality and put it in my imaginational, into my field, like into my dream state, and visualize it and come from a place, I call it the zone of neutrality.
Mhm.
You're in the center of the center and the zone of neutrality. So, can you dive in a little deeper about what frequencies are to you and really why I would say it's very important to be in the frequency of what you really desire and what your heart truly wishes to manifest to become real.
Yeah. So when we think about frequencies, sometimes our mind goes to things like music because they're of certain frequencies. And in manifestation world, you talk a lot about various frequencies and being in vibrational match or frequency match to your desire or to your money and things like that. But those things don't mean much to a lot of people. They understand that they have to be in the vibrational match or something, but they don't understand what it actually means. So everything has a frequency because everything is energy, and everything basically from physical objects to human bodies to anything, it's made out of atoms, and therefore they vibrate, therefore they create frequency. So every single thing in the universe vibrates, which means it has a frequency. And which means if you want money, money has a frequency because it's made out of atoms and it has a vibration. So what it means to tune into the frequency is experience that experience. So we can either tune into the frequency of money as a physical object by moving our consciousness, because everything is consciousness, by moving consciousness to that object. But that gets a little bit complicated, and it's probably out of scope for today because it's really many layers before you build up to that. What is easier to do for most people is being in the frequency of the experience of whatever they want to create. So if someone wants money, what is the experience of receiving money? Like, for example, through clients, through money coming into account, through bonuses at work, something like that. What is the experience that you can have around money? And really tune into that experience, and that will be the frequency of that experience. Because in your mind, in your imagination, you are already experiencing it as if it was real, because to our consciousness, to the mind, it actually is real. Therefore, you are already in that vibration, you are in that frequency. But the important part is you actually have to be very neutral before you start that, because whatever you have any other feelings, emotions, beliefs, or thoughts around the subject, why you can't do this, why it's impossible, why the timeline is not right, whatever comes up, whatever you have those frequencies still in your body and you go into the imagination from that place, you are still in the frequency of lack, no matter how much imagining you do, because they mix, and therefore your body is still in the frequency of lack. So therefore your body is still magnetizing to it the reality that you're a frequency to. Does that answer the question of how it works?
Absolutely. I totally agree with you because everything in the world is energy. I mean, that's really all we are. We just decided to come in the form that we're in. And really, it's changing your frequency, energy, vibration. It changes so much. So, like, I love the zone of neutrality, the neutral state. I call it the zero, like I said. So, do you assist people at first to really clear their emotions and like get their feeling? Sometimes, I think sometimes we need to address our feelings because they kind of have a different kind of a voice and, kind of coddle them and see why they feel in our bodies the way they feel so we can get into that zone, that inner peace state. So they get into the flow. Otherwise, it's almost like they trigger us to revert back.
Yeah, and the reason that happens is because they're trapped in the body by coming up again and again and again, or adding other things to it and then coming up more powerful and manifesting themselves in other ways. So, like I said, with the feelings and emotions, it's like you kind of detach yourself from the physical body. So your mind is unaffected by the emotion, but your body's experiencing it. So your mind doesn't become one with it, and it doesn't get overcome with the emotion and doesn't sort of go spiraling down into it. You observe it like it's a separate thing that's happening to your body. So you're seeing it like emotion going through your body, but you are disassociated. Like with your mind, you dissociate from the body experiencing its experience. So once the body finishes experiencing the experience, the emotion is just gone. In many cases, it actually doesn't even come up again. So it doesn't trigger you again. In some cases, it will, and it just becomes easier and easier to clear it. Like for a lot of things for me, if something like a trigger comes up, sometimes it just takes a couple of seconds to clear it and it's gone. And for other things, there might be layers. So you might clear one thing, but then there's something deeper underneath, and then you have to clear that. But the thing is, you don't have to sit down and try to figure out where everything's coming from. Is there many layers? Is there, ancestral trauma or whatever? You just address it in the moment. So if something is coming up for you, like for example, you want to make a sales call and feelings are coming up with fears, imposter syndrome, whatever, you just address those in the moment. You just let them go through the body so that they're not trapped in there, so that they're not clouding your mind, so that when you get on the call, you're in that neutral energy. And then whatever happens on the call, it's like you're in a different frequency. You're not in the frequency already kind of giving the vibration to the other person that you are not good enough for that particular service or something like that to work with them, because we feel those things like face to face, even through the content we'll put out. Like we feel when something's got a desperate energy, or if something's already feeling like they're hesitant, they're not confident. Like we can just tell. We can't tell why, but we can tell. And that's often how we make choices. Like when people say, oh, use your gut. Well, what's gut picking up on? It's picking up on energies. So it's important to clear things and then start doing whatever you're doing from the neutral place.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you hit it right on the head, because that zone of neutrality and being in a space of neutralness, you don't operate from fear, the you're more embodied. You've merged the two. So how do you utilize frequency to tune into your ideal client when you're creating your content, like when you're working with somebody?
So for me, like, I mean, there are people in the world that do DNA activations, but it looks different for them. Like the way it came to me is very specific to me with the frequencies and with the way that I paint, because it's kind of like my knowledge, my confidence, and things that I enjoy doing. So it came to me in that combination. And what happens is I have a conversation with the client to find out what they want and a bit of a background story, and then the life that they want to create, what they want to experience. And when I sit down to do my activation, I actually ask the client to send me a piece of music that they really like, either their favorite piece or something that pops into their head in relation to the manifestation that they want. And what that does for me, it kind of disconnects my mind from any distractions and really helps me get absorbed into the frequency of the experience. So the first thing is always for me to clear anything, any energies, thoughts, beliefs, or whatever in relation to the client, their manifestation, anything I'm experiencing during the day, to make sure I'm not bringing any of my things to the client's activation. So I become very neutral. I put on the music to really help me, I guess, tune into everything. And then in my mind, I just really experience that desire that the client has, like with all the senses, like what things sound like, what things smell like, what things feel like, really absorb as if I'm there experiencing it. And then from there, I then see waves of color, patterns, images in my mind, and I just paint it. Whatever comes to me while I'm tuned, like my body is tuned into the frequency of the desire, I literally just paint it. And then when like the first layer is finished, then I tune into the very specific frequencies of the desire. So I literally see lines and strings of frequencies in my mind, and I just paint them. Like I just draw them into the painting, and that's it.
I love that. A friend of mine actually does something similar. Um, Not exactly, but similar. Now I'm curious if she got the download. So how is it that self-sabotage, because I know people often self-sabotage themselves. You kind of got those little crickets going off in your head. So how can we self-sabotage by having preferences and following not just our likes? I feel like we need to follow like our innate desires and really avoid things that we don't enjoy. So, I mean, I find even for myself, I've allowed people to kind of control like my vision, like because they have an idea of what my vision should look like. If you picking up what I'm
Mhm.
throwing at you, how does that really slow down the manifestation process? It feels like an entanglement to me. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, please. Once you compartmentalize everything, it's a lot clearer. But when we're thinking from our human body mind, it sounds very complex and, like you said, entangled. So the first thing is comes from realization that our desires, our likes, dislikes, and everything comes from our ego. And it's something that we create from ego. So, for example, if let's say there's something you like and something you don't like. So for example, you like chocolate, but you don't like cucumbers. Where did that come from? It didn't come from when you were born, because when you were born, you didn't have preferences for chocolate or cucumbers. You learned it through an experience. Therefore, if you had an amnesia or you started your life today without any experiences, beliefs, thoughts, or anything like that, you wouldn't know that you like chocolate and you wouldn't know that you dislike cucumbers. So that comes from our ego because it comes from our past experiences, past beliefs, therefore preferences. So the first thing is understanding that and realizing that the universe isn't sending you things you dislike to test you or anything like that, because things just are in the world. They just are. A cucumber is a cucumber, chocolate is a chocolate. It's the meaning that we give those things. And when it comes to self-sabotage, it's, for example, let's say you want to manifest $100,000 and you've put the desire out there, you visualized that, you're waiting for it to happen. What universe gives you is, for example, an opportunity to buy a cleaning business, but you absolutely hate cleaning. But that business could potentially explode and make you 100 grand within 6 months. But you don't take on that opportunity because you don't like cleaning. So that's how you self-sabotage your desire for $100,000, because you got the opportunity to create it and you didn't take it. And of course, there are other opportunities. Let's say you won $100,000 by just winning a lottery, so you don't have to do anything. Well, if you wait until you win the lottery, which you may one day, that might take you 50 years as opposed to 6 months to get your $100,000. Or it might come then a few months later or a few years later as another opportunity. So that's, for example, there's an opportunity to work overseas to make that $100,000. But you don't want to leave because you like your house. So you don't take it on. So you wait for another opportunity. So that's how our likes and dislikes and preferences sabotage it. And of course, we have a choice, like we can do whatever we want in life. But understanding the fact that, like, you don't have to disregard your dislikes because it is a personal preference, it is an ego, in order for your desire to come to you. Your desire can come in various different ways. And if you choose which way it is to come to you, you're kind of then telling universe you want to control the how.
And that's what you mean by detaching from the outcome. It feels like to me like you just leave it on the altar. I call it the heavenly universe, the altar, the shrine, whatever. And you're like gifting it over to the universe. It's like getting an allowance. Like you're just in the streams to allow, like not to worry how
Mhm.
it's going to happen, just having, detaching from the outcome, like you said, whether it's this or that, whether you get it or not, you're still in the zone of
Yeah.
neutrality.
Yeah.
So,
And whichever way you get it is not also not up to you. Like obviously you have a free will, so you can take on the opportunity or not take it on, but ultimately you don't dictate how it's going to come to you.
I love that. So, You love visualization. So, why does visualization work for manifesting our desires more so than other manifestation techniques?
Because the other manifestation techniques are missing the part of tuning into the frequency. Let's say meditations can work, even journaling can work when you're in that zone. But the parts that are missing for people when they do it without sort of realizing it is one, starting it from a neutral place, two, really feeling into the experience of already having it so that you are in that frequency, and then detaching from that ever appearing in the physical world, because as far as your mind is concerned, it's experiencing it already, therefore there's no waiting. While ever the mind starts thinking and waiting, it's no longer in the frequency of having it. So that's the three components, and which are important whether you're doing visualization or something else. But it's just so much easier to do it in the visualization form because your mind can really experience it to the full with all of the senses.
Absolutely. Can you dive in a little bit more on the DNA activations and what they are? Like it totally makes sense to me because there's so many. I like to work with like the Merkaba shape, sound. I mean, there's just so everything carries a vibration. So can you dive in a little bit deeper on that?
Yeah. Well, for me, DNA activation is really activating something in that dormant part of somebody to help body tune into the frequency of what they desire. It's kind of like instructions being sent to DNA to know what frequency to be in, to give people like a bit of a boost when they try to do visualizations and it's new to them and they sort of haven't really mastered the skill of manifesting things in that way and kind of living from your consciousness rather than just the ego and the mind and everything that happens in the human body. And the way people always, at least I was one of those, wonder, well, how can you activate something in DNA? Isn't it like already there? It's either active or not active. But when you think about how people do vaccines and probably many other technologies and different things, but with the new vaccine technology where rather than injecting someone with a live virus or the sample of the live virus, like a weakened version of it, they inject actually just a set of instructions for the DNA to then create the antibodies for the virus. So if you can do it physically by injecting something and in the body rearranging how the DNA operates to then start creating something that it didn't create before, therefore transmitting a set of instructions, well, why can't you do it in a different way as well? Because we're all energy and our thoughts are also energy. Our thoughts also have a frequency. In fact, I think it's one of the fastest frequencies in our thoughts. Well, if you can do a lot of things with frequencies, therefore you can do a lot of things with thoughts. And if you transmit the information that way to activate something within someone's DNA by sending a set of instructions on how to do it so that your body knows how to do it, like a blueprint or like a manual, it can then fire off the things that it needs to do, start creating things it needs to do, start tuning itself to a frequency that it needs to be in. Why not? That's how it works.
It totally makes sense to me. So when you have your clients, do you have like a manual kind of book you've created or you mostly like I feel like you need definitely more than one session.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, funny you mentioned that because I knew this morning, the last few nights I've been getting like downloads and messages about something. I'm still putting it together, but a thing that came to me this morning is actually creating a manual. So it's just funny how you mention it. But yeah, one session is when we focus on one very specific thing. But my 4 months program is when we actually go deep and really dissect everything, really learn how to manage the emotions, how to clear your body of the things you don't want in there, how to visualize things, how to tune your own body into frequencies, how to create from your mind, from your consciousness and the things that you want to create, how to recognize the opportunities that come to you, and not just opportunities that knock on your door, but also the thoughts that come to you, because they are also opportunities, and how to recognize one thought from a thought of you trying to force something to happen. And thus, that's when people are experiencing things like things are just not working, things are not falling into place. It's like beating your head against the wall. Like you keep trying and trying and trying and it's not working. Well, it's because you're trying something that you're not meant to be doing at all. So it's like recognizing what it is that you like, the path that you do need to be taking, versus the things when you're just trying to make things happen, you're trying to control something and it's just not working. That's where frustrations and everything come in. So that's the sort of thing that takes, like you said, a lot more time, because it's a process. Like learning and knowing about it is one thing, but then experiencing it, practicing it, seeing how different things come up. And people experience things very differently too. Some people experience things by having a lot of physical responses to like breaking down old beliefs and things like that at first, because it's a different way of thinking. Some people have like a lot of realizations during the day. For me, it has always been things come to me in my dreams. So breaking down of old beliefs and old paradigms, creation, like sometimes mind creates things in the dream for me in the 3D reality. Downloads and messages, like that's how I got my frequency activations. I got it in the dreams over a course of a few nights. And it's like very profound, very vivid. It's like I'm awake in the dream, knowing it's a dream and knowing that I'm being given information. It's like those things. So for me, everything seems to happen for me in the dreams. But for many people, it's just different, like dreams, downloads, like divine guidance through the day, or maybe sometimes people meditate, but meditating is only like a short time frame. So it's like you're minimizing your window of opportunity in which to receive an information. But sometimes when I do like a meditation or something like that, because the mind is clear, that's when things come to you as well. So really, everyone has their own process, and it's learning, practicing, and navigating things as they come up for different individuals. That's more of a 4 months process to really learn that and get into the state where you can then create your own life yourself, moving on forward.
What do you find in working with your clients and your guests? Do you find that it's their limiting beliefs? Is it their emotions, or is their thoughts, or like, you know what I mean? Sometimes maybe people are more stuck in the emotional field, where some are more stuck in the belief around something, where somebody else, their mind is just an entangled web of problems. You know what I mean? Like, is there
Yeah, yeah.
certain, or is it just, you just kind of work on all?
On all, because it's really all that come up for people. But the most important thing there is, no matter what comes up, most people actually do know what they need to do. They do know that they need to be just clear of their limiting beliefs. They do know that they need to feel things as if they already happened. They do know that they need to detach, but they haven't actually embodied it. That's why it's not working for them. And the reason they haven't embodied it is because their mind gets in the way. So their mind stops them. And that's really a process to untangle the things and really make sure that anything that's done is done from a neutral place, because then it becomes much easier. When the body is in the stress response, it goes into a fight or flight, which means you can't think properly. So when you do want to consciously create something or make decisions or work on something, well, if you're doing it from stress, you're not going to do it properly, because one, you're going to send a stress frequency with it. And two, your mind is just not open to receiving the information that needs to come through you, because it's already full of all of your limiting beliefs, all of the monkey chatter in the brain. So in other words, it's really people getting out of their own way and clearing their mind first. That's the biggest block for them to start with. And once that's out of the way, that's when they can start putting all their things, skills, and knowledge together and embodying and going through the process and trying different things, however it works best for them, and just learning how to create the life that they do want to live.
Absolutely. So, is there anything else? You've been a treasure. Is there anything else that your heart desires to share with my listeners today?
I think we've covered just about everything.
I think it's fantastic. Be sure to connect with Julia. I have her links in the show notes down below. The Alchemy of Marketing, along with Manifestation. And if this episode inspired you in some magical way, and I absolutely heartfelt believe it has inspirited you, go ahead and take a screenshot of you listening on your device. Go ahead and post it to your Instagram stories, tagging at the Tonya D. And if your heart is singing a song, a tune to dive deeper into your own personal container, your personal medicine, go ahead and join the Shamanic Healing Academy, where mystics, intuitive, psychic, shamans, and the likes dive into the realm of the otherworldly. And to donate to the show to keep this momentum going, that link is always in the show notes to buy me a cup of coffee. And with that, ashe, blessings to you. And as always, I will truly see you on the other side. Ashe, blessings.